It's your girl, VK Jehanam, and I'm with my man, JS Garrett.
What's up, guys?
Hey, so we've done 3 rituals together total so far, all of which included his signature move, the sacrifice of an adult rooster. The first ritual we did was a rite to Soontalak. Can you tell me a bit about Soontalak?
Yeah, Suntalak's a badass. He's really an ancient god. We call him, they call him a demon of wealth and prestige. But yeah, he's got like the power to create empires out of nothingness. So I mean, that's godlike power. He's also I've also worked with him to heal something pretty crazy too, because I was like, all right, if you can create an empire out of nothing, then surely you can help me like make this thing in this person disappear. So I mean that was kind of like a one-time experiment that was successful, but I mean, yeah, he's a really powerful entity. But people call on him for wealth and prestige, and it's yeah, I mean, he's the builder of empires.
To my understanding, he was originally recorded in the Book of Azazel by Coedding.
Yeah. Coedding is
Damn
the
good
one
book.
who rediscovered him. Yeah, that grimoire is full of entities that were essentially introduced themselves to EA through Azazel, like through his path working with Azazel. And I've done workings with not all of them, but a lot of them, and it's legit.
It's a damn good book, but I hadn't worked with the spirits from it until now. I just learned from it and applied it in my own craft. So this rite was a ritual for one of his clients, a wealth rite. So we did 2 rituals back to back. The one to Soontalak for his client, and then one personal rite to benefit the 2 of us. It was a really cool experience. I volunteered to help with the hired ritual just because I thought it would be fun to do a ritual with Jesse.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, the client definitely don't mind.
Glad to hear it. That was when he taught me how to sacrifice a rooster, humanely, of course. With a broadsword, but still humane.
That's quick. Oh yeah, that's about the quickest way to do it,
Yeah, it works, man. Hey,
the chickens actually go into like a trance almost. Not to say always, but usually like, you grab a chicken out of the box and it's gonna flap a little bit. And I'll hold it tight and pet it and talk to it and thank it and honor it. And it just like, it immediately starts calming down. And then when you lay them down on the chopping block, I always say shh, like just do my hand over their body and across and they'll stretch their head and neck out, and they will just lay there and not fucking move.
Yeah.
It's like they're submitting to the spirit.
Yeah. It's like, and its last moments appear to be peace and tranquility.
Yeah.
During the second rite, I sacrificed one of his roosters. Did exactly the way you showed me. They are not kidding when they say that chickens kick around a lot after you chop the head.
Yeah, it's hard to hang on to them.
Yeah, I was holding it over the fire, letting its blood pour in. I'm like, you sure this thing's dead? He's like, you got it. I'm like, you sure? But
they move for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you'll drain all the blood and it's still gonna be kicking for a minute, But that's why you hear people talking about when their grandpa slaughtered chickens, he'd chop their head off and then they run around the yard with no heads. They really will do that. So if you like accidentally let go of one, they can run and they can fly with no head.
Yeah.
So, you gotta hang on to them.
So I decided to do what I most often do when I'm tagging along in a ritual I don't understand, which is I just get possessed and let the spirit take the reins, right?
Oh.
I chose to get possessed by Gobney, who is a watcher and death god. Given that he's a watcher, I thought he would be a good companion to write to one of Azazel's spirits.
Yeah.
So I had a sigil that I was bleeding on and shit. At one point, we did both rites back to back. It's been about a couple months.
Yeah.
So remembering which rite this happened is hard. which rite this happened during is hard, but at one point, I've been bleeding on the
The one
sigil.
we did for ourselves.
Oh, yeah, that one. One point, Gotti was like, all right, mark an X on Jesse's forehead with your blood. I was like, I'll ask if he's okay with that.
This is the first time we fucking met, too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's not like
That
we've known each other for any length of time.
Yeah, that was the night we met, like in person. But I was like, hey Jesse, the Gobney wants me to draw an X on your forehead. You were like, okay. I was like, with this, and I extended like this bloody fingertip. He was like, go for it. I'm like, okay. So I walk over, draw an X on his forehead in my blood, and then I walk back to my spot, and I just see him go, like this evil laugh, and like his eyes open, and like literally his eyes were then like pale blue instead of brown. No,
Eyes are always blue. They're
Yeah,
just
they're always
like,
blue. Yeah.
they go like different shades. Like sometimes they'll like get like really light blue or green, and then sometimes they're dark blue. It's just,
No, but you had no irises, and they were so light blue that they were almost white.
yeah, that's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, like this. You did like this evil laugh, and you looked up, and your eyes were like that. I'm like, yep, that's satanic as fuck.
Definitely. I do vaguely remember that. Like I remember you drawing the X and everything. That's like, and I remember like having like a really weird like, I don't know. It was kind of like a tingling, like electric probe sensation, like right here. You know, going back to like somewhere in the middle of my brain. But yeah, that was interesting. I still don't fully know what the fuck we did.
No.
It did something.
Yeah, no, I've never done that to someone before.
It did something crazy.
I was possessed. It was Gobney's idea, man.
Which that's the case a lot of times. I'll do crazy right and I don't. Oh damn! I got a gnat in my wine. Yeah, that's flavor. Anyway, no, there's times where I'll do like a crazy right and like there'll be portions of it I don't remember very well. Or I'll video it and then I'll go back and watch the video. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot all about that part. You know?
Yeah.
So you definitely are going into altered states, and especially if you're doing things like that. What I think a lot of these entities do is they like open pathways in your brain to where it functions differently. I feel like we have like, you know, built-in gateways, like blockages in our brain to keep us from using it completely. And it's like every time we make contact with one of these entities and make allies with them, it's like they just kick that fucking door down. You know, and you usually get a headache after something like that, which I did have like a dull headache in the middle of my head the next morning, but it didn't last too long. It wasn't that bad, but yeah, it was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it went awesome. The second rite, the one we did for ourselves, it called on Simyaza, the ascended vampires, or undead gods as they're called, and it called on the Nephilimic undead. That is the undead priesthood of Gobney. At the end of the rite, Jesse got fully possessed. Like, you know, not present mentally. Like, the spirit is completely taken hold. It seemed like multiple spirits spoke through him. They gave me some personal messages that I needed to hear. And they said something about, we have no need to test you because you have already proven all that you need to. I'm guessing that was the Nephilimic undead speaking. I'm guessing they tend to test people who work with them.
I really don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I knew Gobney had that undead priesthood. I just never met him before.
I remember less of that ritual than the other ritual we were just talking about.
Yeah. And then I saw the man with the hat appear in the circle.
That's crazy, because I've actually never seen him.
Really?
I've talked to a lot of people that have. I've never tried to summon that entity. I don't really know what that entity is. I can't like find anyone to explain to me what that entity is. Some people think it's an egregor that people have created, and I'm thinking, it's probably something else.
Yeah, so basically he's the king of the shadow people and their father. there's a lot of like rogue shadows that are denied by the umbral hive mind that try to impersonate him. So if you see more than one man with the hat, it ain't him.
Gotcha.
And they ain't good news. But the real man with the hat, if you saw him as a kid, he was protecting you for something. Probably an astral predator. Like a negative spirit. He'll do that. He'll protect children.
Like I've heard people talk about having night terrors with this hatted man.
Oh, he emanates fear.
Yeah, like they'll wake up and they'll be paralyzed and he'll be choking them or something. Like this is something this is a thing on YouTube I watched years and years ago. They were talking about that and hag attacks, like waking up being strangled by a hag. You know, they're sitting on top of you and you're like paralyzed and you can't move or breathe. And they're essentially just scaring the fuck out of you for a while, and then all of a sudden you snap out of it and they disappear. So I've heard those kind of stories.
I remember back on Witch Talk, I was getting canceled for working with him. And then I like...
Canceled.
Canceled?
Cancel us if you can. I'm gonna get some more wine.
Go right ahead, man. But yeah, there was this girl, I made this video saying, look, if you saw the man with the hat, he wasn't feeding off you. He was protecting you when you were a kid. I mean, if you were a kid and you saw him, it was really the real him. He was protecting you. And this girl made this, response to my video where she said, look, I used to have huge problems with negative entities when I was a kid. One time I saw the man with the hat, and those negative entities never came around again. Right.
Snogface is cheating on me this week.
They actually can't really see your cat.
You can't.
Yeah, there it is.
Snogface has decided that he likes VK better than me. He was sleeping on top of him on the couch earlier.
Yeah, he's laid next to me while I slept twice now. Very nice cat.
It's because he knows I'm going to be here later, and he's only got you for a limited amount of time.
Yeah, I figured that was why.
That's what I'm going to tell myself. He pretty much, he likes everybody better than me. Nah, we have a funny relationship. I'll come home from, work, whatever I'm doing. I'd be like, honey, I'm home, and then he'll meow, meow, and he'll like go nuts meowing at me until I give him wet food. That's what he wants. And then right up until I start eating something, and then he wants whatever I want. And he's a cool cat though.
Yeah, he is. So I saw him, once we finished the second ride, I just saw him in the circle with us. I was like, hey, did Gobney call you while I was possessed? Did he call you through me? He was like, nah, I'm pretty much always with you. I was helping with the writing shit.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, can you tell them about the circle you use? It's made of cornmeal and it represents, the universe or whatever?
Yeah, okay, so I mean, I don't use magic circles for protection or anything. That's bullshit, okay? Chalk on the floor or whatever is not going to protect you from a demon, not in the least. So what I do is I don't use the circle as like a protective barrier. I lay it out in cornmeal because that's traditionally an offering to the spirits in certain pantheons. And, it can rain 3 or 4 times and it won't wash away versus if you were using salt, then you get a slight sprinkle and it's all going to melt. Cornmeal will actually stay there for a while. And so I make a large circle with the triangle of manifestation inside the circle so that I'm standing in the triangle of manifestation with the spirit when I'm making the sacrifice. I don't put any barriers between me and them. And in the center of that triangle, I build a fire. Of course, I have another circle around the fire pit. And so what this represents to me, it's like whenever I go out there and do a working, I'm trying to alter reality. I'm trying to force my will on reality to create a change because whatever reality is not good enough. Okay, so I need to make that better. Whether it's for myself or for a client. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to embody the God mind when I get in this circle. And so the circle to me represents the center of the universe, center of all creation. And the triangle represents the triangle of manifestation. When I look at it, I look at the fire and the triangle, it represents the holographic projector that is projecting our reality. Because if you read the holographic universe, then you understand that we are basically in a holographic universe. so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hack in to that holographic projector and insert my own code into this reality so that it projects and manifests and changes reality. And I will call on a specific entity to help me do that. And then the sacrifice is how I deliver that code through the eye. All right. So I'm giving this entity, by sacrificing to it, the energy and power that it needs to then go forth into reality and manifest that which I've requested. And you can look at this in different ways. You know, you can look at it like purely scientific, you know, in the holographic universe mentality, or you can look at it like old world witchcraft. It's really the same thing. The ancients were doing they were doing science. I mean, magic is science.
So our third rite was the other night. We did it with this guy who goes by Nox Orovere.
Yeah.
He's the bassist of a black metal band called Mahapralaya.
He's actually wearing this shirt.
Yeah. He and his girlfriend gave me like 3 of their shirts, like one of each design they have. As it turns out, in their album Death and Dissolution, the interlude includes a recitation of one of the magical chants I designed for Cain. So we had him over, we included him in the rite. He was really cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He makes all the sigil plates.
Yeah, he does, like, wood burning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like a badass laser wood burner. Like he'll get these big, you know, square blocks of wood and burn and engrave sigils into them. And he can do it like with perfection. So,
Yeah. He's damn good. I can see one of his works in the background right now. But, he comes over. We did this ritual to Astarte to heal somebody. And of course, it was the 3 of us, me, him, and Nox, doing this ritual. And this one was a little different because in both the rituals I did with J.S. Garrett previously, I was in the circle pretty much the whole time. Like I stepped out once for like a minute, but to grab something. But this rite was slightly different. So he's doing his standard ritual to Astarte. Nox didn't walk into the circle once. He stood right on the outer edge and recited Astarte's demonic N to empower our rite. Now, he was doing his standard rite to Astarte.
yeah.
I was getting possessed by the demoness Quililitu, and through her power calling forth Satan to strengthen the ritual. And of course, I like pricked my finger with a lancet. Was bleeding on a sigil of the devil that I channeled. Oddly enough, as soon as I finished the calling forth of Satan, I felt guided to just throw the sigil into the fire and then walk out of the circle. So then Jesse was the only one in the circle, and he completed his ritual as he normally would, while Nox was outside the circle reciting Astarte's demonic N.
Yeah, it was a strange rite.
Yeah, and I was like occasionally speaking the demonic tongue through possession by Quililitu to strengthen what you were doing. For whatever reason, like we were supposed to like give you the circle to yourself for the most part, and just supplement your efforts from outside of it.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting that. It was weird. I didn't know what y'all were doing. You know, it was like we don't ever like have a script going into a ritual. You know? Like it's completely authentic. So yeah, I mean, it was strange. We haven't got any feedback on that yet, but I mean, we just did it, so we shall see.
Yeah, I didn't expect to walk outside of the circle either, but technically, that is less weird than tracing an X with my blood on your forehead.
Yeah, definitely less weird. It's like people. I was kind of chuckling a minute ago. I was like, can you imagine somebody like clicking on this fucking video that's never heard of any of this stuff and watching it? They're like, who the fuck are these 2 crazy people? Yeah. Yeah, there's. I mean, we're probably the most far out there as it gets. You know, it's like the alien people and the Bigfoot people make us look like, or we make them look sane.
Oh, You did tell me that you wanted to mention the satanic ritual of healing and lust in this video.
Yeah, I had him do. I had something really shitty done to me a few months ago, and I was having a hard time dealing with that. So, not to elaborate too much, but yeah, I actually hired him to do his rite of satanic lust and healing. I was telling him what the hell was going on. He's like, "Oh, you know, I think this rite would help you." I'm like, "All right, fuck yeah, give me your PayPal," and it did. It absolutely did. Not only with the healing part, but I've definitely been exuding a lustful magnetism since then. So yeah, I have no complaints at all there. It was really good.
Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it. Anyways, that is all for now.
Really?
Have a great night and enjoy your immortality.
Ales.
Oh, by the way, lawless metaphysics is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Rurick Douglas moved out. The two are now operating separately. J.S. Garrett will be moving back to the J.S. Garrett YouTube channel, which I will link in the description.
Yeah.
But now that's all.
Yeah, I'm resurrecting my original website, jsgarrett.com, and Rurick has renamed Lawless Metaphysics to the Crimson Hierophant, which I have absolutely nothing to do with.
There we go.
There we go.
Have a great night and enjoy your immortality.